Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dwayne Preston, the Chief of Police for the Bowie Police Department. Welcome everybody here this afternoon. I want to talk about a critical incident which occurred earlier today in the city of Bowie. At 11:58 a.m., our dispatch center received a call stating that someone was breaking into a bedroom window and was armed with a gun in the 2800 block of Sberry Lane in Bowie, Maryland. The complainant advised that the suspect may be in a neighbor's yard, armed with a rifle. At 12:05 p.m., while speaking to the complainant, our dispatchers heard gunshots over the phone. Officers arrived on scene at 12:06 p.m. and heard numerous shots being fired, which were coming from the address on Sudbury Lane. Officers were able to safely remove several people from inside of the residence, and then suddenly, a male armed with a handgun ran out of the residence toward the officers. Members of our STAR team and patrol officers ordered the male to drop the weapon, and he complied. The weapon that was recovered is a polymer 80 9mm. 2 magazines were also recovered, one of which was an extended magazine with a 30-round capacity. Our officers showed great restraint and discipline by not using deadly force, and the male was taken into custody. Investigation revealed that the home next door was struck by several rounds which had been fired by the male. The homeowners were home, but thankfully were not injured. The male appeared to be hallucinating and was taken to a local hospital for a psychological evaluation. I am thankful that no one was injured in this incident. I appreciate the cooperation and support of our residents, and I am extremely proud of the courage, leadership, and professionalism displayed by our dispatchers and officers during this critical incident. At this time, I'll take any questions that you all may have.
There was a woman that was also taken in the back of a police car. Could you give any indication of her role in all the situation?
Sure. So she was a person that was inside of the residence that has some relation to the male suspect or the male that was taken into custody. She also appeared to be suffering from some sort of distress and was also taken for a psychological evaluation.
So you said multiple people the call was for multiple people trying to break in, but was there only just this one man trying to break in?
Yeah, there was no evidence found to be anyone outside of the residence that was breaking into the residence. So appears that the suspect and the other female that was taken for a psychological evaluation were suffering some kind of mental health episode.
Do you know if this was targeted or random?
This was specifically related to all of those that were associated with the address in 2800 block of Sudbury Lane. It has nothing to do with anything else outside of that.
Are you able to clarify the relationship between the male suspect and the female that was taken for psychological evaluation at this time?
It appears that they are involved in a personal relationship, but that's the only information I have at this time.
Can you say where the gunshots were? Was a gunfire exchange, or was it just the one individual who was apprehended who was firing the shots?
Yes, I mentioned there was no evidence that there were any other suspects that were threatening this home or anyone inside of the home or fired any other shots. The shots that were fired were by the male that was taken into custody that's being evaluated.
Just to clarify, you said that the call where there was sounds of gunfire on 1205 and then a minute later officers arrived. Can you just talk a little bit about that quick response time?
Sure. That's one of the things that, I'm so proud of our officers, even dealing with some of the staffing shortages that we've been experiencing. They were able to respond immediately, and the response time, was outstanding to this critical incident. And without, regard for their own safety, they were able to investigate this matter and did it so in such a professional way that no one was injured.
Chief, you're calling this a critical incident. Was it at any point a home invasion? And was it at any point a hostage situation? And how many people were inside the home?
Sure. So it was reported as a possible home invasion, is how the call for service was received. But once we got there and determined what we had through the course of the investigation, we determined that all of the occupants were people that were associated with that particular address, and there was no evidence of a home invasion.
And how many people were inside the home?
There were several people in the area. I would say between 7 or 8 people inside of the residence.
Is this home familiar to police?
We have had prior calls for service for the address, but nothing of this magnitude.
Any history with the suspect that was apprehended? Any crime history of any kind that you can share with us, or is it just?
Nothing significant, even though the investigation is still continuing, as our investigators are continuing to follow up leads. And we will be reviewing, this case with the state's attorney's office to see if charges may be warranted. But at this time, the person of interest is being evaluated, for a mental health evaluation.
Can you walk us through, Chief, of what that means to have somebody that could potentially be having a mental health crisis or can be on some kind of substance, also discharging at your officers armed when there might be not, they're probably not coherent as to what they're actually doing in those kind of scenarios?
Sure, it's a challenge, and we realize the challenges that come with the profession in which we serve. But due to the training that our officers undergo, especially our specialized STAR team, they're trained for moments like this, and it just displayed the professionalism and the training they get day in and day out, and that was able to be displayed, during this incident today.
And just to be clear, your STAR team, is that a team that specializes in mental health crises?
No, our STAR team is our special tactics and response team that's for active events and also for high-risk incidents. And they happen to be working today, which we're fortunate, that they were, on duty today when this incident occurred.
And then in terms of the gunfire, shots were fired inside the home and also struck a home next door?
That's correct.
And the shots were fired in or out?
From the inside out of the residence.
Chief, can you talk about what charges would possibly be brought against that suspect?
It's a little premature at this point in time. As I said, we will be reviewing and speaking with the state's attorney's office on that to determine which charges will be warranted and appropriate. And at that time, we will update if charges are presented and pressed against the suspect.
Chief, can you talk a little bit about just some of the armed robberies that we've been seeing in Bowie and also across Prince George's County? What can you tell us, I know you sent out a release yesterday with a letter, what can you tell us about what your office and the police department has seen over the last week or so?
Sure. We've been challenged, as well as many of the jurisdictions throughout the region, as you've seen, to date, somewhere short of 50 incidents, of citizens being targeted while coming from or going to local banking institutions. We have had 5 of those incidents since June 28th. We had 4 just last week. And based upon that, we've been working with our regional partners as well as within the department to ensure the safety of our residents here in the city. So we're working with all of the other agencies that are involved, exchanging information and attempting to identify suspects in these incidents and hopefully bring these things to an end.
I know last week there was an incident that ultimately ended in a death. Can you talk anything about, I think that was related to our armed robbery that started in Anne Arundel County,
Sure.
came through Prince George's County. Is that somehow connected to some of these armed robberies? Are these the same crew?
Well, it appears that, there are multiple crews that are conducting the same type of activities. And while that was a tragic end, but these were obviously choices that these particular suspects made to engage in this type of activity. And what we want to do is that as law enforcement, this is something that's frustrating for us. It's unacceptable. As the residents here within the city of Bowie are being victimized by people that are not from our communities. And it's something that has to stop. One of the things that we need to realize is that there are family members and others that may know those that are responsible for these acts that are being committed. And, I'm challenging them to come forward and to stop this. It puts us all in danger, each and every person that lives in this community, and it's something that's unacceptable. We have innocent people that are being victimized day in and day out and must stop.
Chief, in the photos that you've released, it seems to be an Acura that's a SUV that's been seen in multiple of these cases. The suspects that are photographed as well seem to be wearing the exact same clothes, a half black, half gray hoodie. Do you think that this one crew may have had multiple offenses during the same week last week?
Yeah, we know that they're attributed to multiple offenses that have occurred within the city. That vehicle is no longer outstanding. That vehicle has been recovered, but there are additional suspect vehicles that they're now utilizing, which is something that often occurs. They switch out the vehicles that they're utilizing.
Do you know if they're swapping out the license plates as well? Because it seems it's the same vehicle, you just have a different license plate, when you're giving out that press release throughout the day.
Yeah, those are all tactics that are common, that we're seeing is the interchange of license plates and vehicles. And that's something that, we continue to push that information out as much as we can when it's updated.
How much is being taken from suspects? It's scary regardless, right? You're probably distracted, you're withdrawing money, but do you have a quantity of like how much,
Let's say, in some cases, it's, hundreds of dollars, it's ranged into the thousands of dollars, so significant amounts of money, are being, taken from the victims in these incidents.
Just returning to the Sudbury incident, the suspect, you said he was hallucinating. Do you believe that drugs were involved in this incident?
I have no evidence to say that drugs are involved in this incident, but, that's something that, I'm sure will be determined upon the evaluation, by medical professionals.
Just one more quick question on the armed robbery note. What's your message to the residents here in Bowie, and what do you tell them about going to some of these financial institutions?
Well, we put out some prevention tips yesterday for them to, pay attention to their surroundings, making sure that they, scanning the parking lot, looking for suspicious vehicles. One of the things that I want our residents to realize is to call us. If you see something that doesn't look right, or that needs to be investigated, call us immediately so we can come and investigate it. But pay attention to your surroundings, is probably the most important thing that I can encourage all of our residents to do.
Have all of the robberies been classified as armed robberies with a weapon used?
All of the robberies that have occurred in the city have been armed, yes.
Do you have any idea of where they're coming from, these crews? You said they're coming from outside of the city. What communities do you think they're coming from?
Well, what I can say is that the vehicles that we know of that have been recovered have all been recovered in the District of Columbia, but we have not identified any suspects yet, so I cannot determine whether or not the suspects actually also are residents of the District of Columbia at this time.
And then, Chief, people have some questions regarding how it's happening. Is it like people are withdrawing money, they're walking to their car and then they get them, or are they actually taking them to the cashier and saying, take more money out for me?
No, these robberies have all occurred upon people either entering or exiting the bank.
Have any of the victims been like assaulted or injured?
No, fortunately, we haven't had anyone injured in any of these incidents.
It's called jugging, right?
Yes, correct.
I have one quick question, Chief, going back to Sudbury. Do you know the ages of the people that were in the homes and their genders?
No, just adult male and adult female were the ones that are taken for evaluation. There were some underage folk also inside of the residence. Some children, yes, minors, yes.
How many?
I don't have the exact number, but 3 or 4. Any other questions? If not, appreciate everyone coming out. Thank you.
Everybody, I appreciate you coming out. We'll have some updates on social media a little bit later on, but if you have any questions, please give me a call or email me, and I'll get back to you. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.